South of Midnight is an action-adventure game that leans heavy into third-person exploration and combat. Think God of War meets Alan Wake, but with a southern gothic flavor. Combat is a mix of light and heavy melee attacks with some magic abilities woven in. It feels weighty, deliberate. Every swing matters. You won't be button mashing your way through this one. There's a bit of a learning curve at first, but once you unlock a few abilities, it opens up and feels way more fluid. Movement wise, it's a little bit on the slower side. The world is gorgeous and atmospheric, so you'll find yourself taking your time. But if you're someone who likes snappy, high-speed action, this might feel a little bit sluggish. Enemy variety early on is okay. There's some shadow creatures, some cursed town folks, and some twisted folklore monsters. Boss fights really want to be the highlight here. They're cinematic, mechanically interesting, and force you to mix it up a little bit on your attacks and dodges, not just spam your strongest move. The world is semi-open a little bit later on, but it does give you a very linear path. There's going to be hub areas you'll revisit, secrets to find, and some light puzzle solving. Again, this game is mostly on the linear side. If you prefer lore-heavy games and less combat-driven games, this is the one for you. All right, but what about the graphics, right? It rocks this hand-painted, slightly stop-motion look that seems pretty cool at first, but then you start to think, like, is this trying to be 30 FPS or 60 FPS? So it's a little bit weird, but I kind of liked it, to be honest. Character models are eerie and stylized in a way that makes every cutscene feel like a dark animated folktale. The world design's even better. Swamps, decayed houses, foggy graveyards. It's dripping with Southern Gothic atmosphere, and you can tell the art team really went off here. Performance-wise, it's pretty solid. On console, you'll get a clean 60 FPS in performance mode, with a couple of frame dips in heavier movements. Load times are quick, and I didn't run into any major bugs. Just a little texture pop in from time to time. Nothing game breaking. Now the audio, and I'm not gonna lie to you, this is one of the worst musical scores I've ever heard in a video game. It's so bad that when the music started playing in some areas, I just couldn't wait to get past that part so the music would just stop playing. It was terrible. The soundtrack is flat, forgettable, and really out of place half the time. For a game so rooted in Southern folklore and dark, eerie vibes, you'd expect haunting blues, gritty atmospheric strings, but nope. What you get feels like stock tracks pulled from a royalty-free site. It kills the mood rather than builds it. The voice acting is pretty good.
Wake up, Mom. I'm sorry.
The performances are solid and the Southern accents feel authentic without being over the top. But man, that soundtrack, it's rough. So if you don't try to tackle any of the side stuff, the main story should take you about 10 to 12 hours. It's a pretty short game. There's no new game plus, no branching story paths, no alternate endings. It's a one and done kind of experience. And while the world is cool and the lore is interesting, the game doesn't give you much incentive to stick around after the credits roll. If you're the type that loves 100% completion, you might squeeze a couple more hours out of it while you're hunting collectibles and lore notes, but for most people, you'll finish it once and move on. And I'm not gonna lie to you, even after you unlock all the abilities for your combat, it still feels kind of flat. It just didn't have a lot of depth. I felt like I was confined to like certain areas of the game because that's where combat is held. It's not like just throughout the world. It's like in little hubs. And basically you have zero combat unless you enter these areas where the combat is held. Outside of that, it's mostly exploration and platforming. I just really didn't like that style. I would prefer to have combat as I'm adventuring. Okay, South of Midnight is beautiful with atmospheric adventure and decent combat and a pretty cool art style that's only held back by slow pacing and one of the worst musical scores I've ever heard in years. There's also zero replay value. If you're into dark folklore settings and narrative-driven games with a cinematic vibe, it might be worth playing on Game Pass or when there's a sale. But at full price, it's a pass from me. And don't get me wrong, I really wanted to love this game, but there were things in combat that just really didn't hit right, and the musical score was just terrible. I just can't in good conscience recommend it. But anyway, that's all I got for this one. Hope you guys enjoyed this Player Pass review. I'll do a lot more, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.